Good morning, friends, and happy Friday. I'm Xavier, and it's time for the Morning Roundup. I do this little newscast Monday through Friday, and I try to pull stories that have more of a spotlight for the Black community, and I try to do it under 10 minutes. We'll see. Today is November 18th, 2022, and it's Friday, so here's today's news just for you. First up from Maryland. WTOP News reports police in Prince George's County, Maryland are searching for suspects in connection with the fatal shooting of 13-year-old Jays Agnew, who was doing chores outside of his family home. The eighth grader was shot in the head around 5:20 p.m. on November 8th while raking leaves in front of his house in the Hillcrest Heights area and was transported to a local hospital in critical condition. He died Friday evening. In a statement, Aisha Braveboy, the county state's attorney, said police have not yet identified a shooting suspect. She also called for an end to the senseless random acts of violence. Police are offering a reward of up to $25,000 in the case for information that leads to an arrest and indictment. Next up from Silicon Valley. Twitter continued to bleed engineers and other workers after new owner Elon Musk gave them a choice to pledge extremely hardcore work or resign with severance pay. While it's not clear exactly how many of Twitter's already decimated staff took Musk up on his offer, the newest round of departures meant the platform is continuing to lose workers just as it is gearing up for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, one of the busiest events on Twitter that can overwhelm its systems if things go haywire. Twitter leadership sent an unsigned email after the deadline announcing that offices would be closed and employee badge access disabled until Monday. No reason was given, according to the employee who took the voluntary layoff as of Thursday. As of late Thursday, he still had access to the company's Slack. Since taking over Twitter less than 3 weeks ago, Musk has booted half of the company's full-time staff of 7,500 and an untold number of contractors responsible for content moderation and other crucial efforts. He fired top executives on his first day as Twitter's owner, while others left voluntarily in the ensuing days. Earlier this week, he began firing a small group of engineers who took issue with him publicly or in the company's internal messaging system. Then overnight, on Wednesday, Musk sent an email to the remaining staff at Twitter saying that it is a software and servers company at its heart, and he asked employees to decide by Thursday evening if they want to remain a part of the business. Musk wrote that employees will need to be extremely hardcore to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0, and that long hours at high intensity will be needed for success. Twitter did not respond to a message-seeking comment. Next, from Memphis, a man charged with arranging the killing of young Dolph pleaded not guilty Thursday, 1 year after the rapper and record label owner was ambushed and shot to death while buying cookies at a bakery in his hometown of Memphis. Hernandez Govan, who was 43, made a brief appearance in Shelby County Criminal Court in Memphis. He was arrested last week after he was indicted on charges including first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in the killing of the rapper, who was 36 when he died. The judge scheduled Govan's next hearing for December 16th. Govan is the third man charged in the November 17, 2021 slaying of young Dolph, whose real name was Adolph Thornton Jr. Police said two men exited a white Mercedes-Benz and fired shots into Makita's Homemade Cookies, which is near the rapper's boyhood home in the Castalia neighborhood. Police released photos taken from the surveillance video that captured the shooting, and authorities later found the car abandoned. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith Jr. have pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and other charges in the shooting and are being held in jail without bond. They are scheduled to appear in court on January 20th. Young Dolph was born in Chicago and moved to Memphis with his parents when he was 2. He released numerous mixtapes, starting with 2008's Paper Route campaign and multiple studio albums, including his 2016 debut, King of Memphis. Young Dolph was admired for charitable works in Memphis. He organized Thanksgiving turkey giveaways, donated thousands of dollars to high schools, and paid rent and covered funeral costs for people in the Castalia Heights neighborhood where he was raised. He had three albums reach the he had three albums reach the top 10 on the Billboard 200, with 2020's Rich Slave peaking at number 4. Makeda's, the bakery where he was shot, was boarded up and closed before it reopened in September. Next, from Qatar. Qatar banned the sale of beer at the World Cup stadiums on Friday, a sudden U-turn on the deal the conservative Muslim emirate made to secure the soccer tournament with only 2 days to go before the opening game. The move was the latest sign of the tension of staging the event, which is not just a sports tournament, but also a month-long party in the autocratic country where the sale of alcohol is heavily restricted. It's also a significant blow to World Cup beer sponsor Budweiser and raised questions about how much control FIFA retains over its tournament. When Qatar launched its bid to host the World Cup, the country agreed to FIFA's requirements of selling alcohol in stadiums, but the details were only released in September, just 11 weeks before the first kickoff. Friday's statement from FIFA said non-alcoholic beer will still be sold at the 8 stadiums, while champagne, wine, whiskey, and other alcohol will be served in the luxury hospitality areas of the arenas. But the vast majority of ticket holders don't have access to those areas. They will be able to drink alcoholic beer in the evenings in what is known as the FIFA Fan Festival, a designated party area that also offers live music and activities. Outside of the tournament-run areas, Qatar put strict limits on the purchase and consumption of alcohol, though its sale has been permitted in hotel bars for years. AB InBev, the parent company of Budweiser, acknowledged in a statement that some of its plans cannot move forward due to circumstances beyond our control. The company pays tens of millions of dollars at each World Cup for exclusive rights to sell beer and has already shipped the majority of its stock from Britain to Qatar in expectation of selling its product to millions of fans. Qatar, which is governed by a hereditary emir who has absolute say over all governmental decisions, follows an ultra-conservative form of Islam known as Wahhabism, like neighboring Saudi Arabia. In recent years, Qatar has transformed into an ultra-modern hub following a natural gas boom in the 90s, but it has faced pressure to stay from within to stay true to its Islamic heritage and Buddhist roots. Islam forbids the consumption of alcohol, and in the run-up to the World Cup, rights groups have raised concerns about how the nation will hold millions of foreign fans, some of whom violate Islamic laws criminalizing public drunkenness, sex outside of marriage, and homosexuality. Qatar's government and its Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy did not immediately respond to requests for comment. And Friday was not Qatar's first backtrack, but it was the most significant. Previous World Cup hosts have been asked to make concessions. For the 2014 tournament, Brazil was forced to change a law to allow alcohol sales in stadiums, but the same cultural issues were not at play. At the W Hotel in Doha, where the company will be based, workers continue putting together a Budweiser-themed bar plan at the site. Its familiar AB logo was plastered on columns and walls at the hotel, with one reading, "The world is yours to take." Next, from Russia. WNBA star Brittany Griner has begun serving her 9-year sentence for drug possession at a Russian penal colony, her lawyers and her agent said on Thursday. Griner was transferred to a penal colony in Mordovia, about 350 kilometers or 210 miles east of Moscow, after a Russian court last month rejected her appeal of her sentence. The All-Star Center with the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury and 2-time Olympic gold winner was detained in February when customs agents said they found vape canisters containing cannabis oil in her luggage at Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport. At her trial, Griner admitted to having the canisters in her luggage, but testified she packed them inadvertently in her haste to make her flight and had no criminal intent. Her defense team presented a written statement saying she had been prescribed cannabis to treat chronic pain. She was convicted in August and sentenced to 9 years in prison. The Biden administration has been trying for months to negotiate the release of Griner and another American jailed in Russia, a Michigan's corporate security executive, Paul Whelan, including through a possible prisoner swap with Moscow. Whelan was also sent to a penal colony on Mordovia after being convicted of espionage-related charges in 2020 and sentenced to 16 years in prison. President Joe Biden told reporters last week that he hopes Russian President Vladimir Putin will be more willing to negotiate the release of Griner now that the U.S. midterm elections are over. Just a heads up, I am working on an in-depth story on the entire situation. It will be released sometimes before Thanksgiving on my other channel, The Black Case Files. Well, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Keep up with me on Instagram at The Morning Roundup. And I also have another show, which I just talked about, called The Black Case Files, where I do more of a deep dive on murders, mysteries, conspiracies, and history, focusing on people of color. I will also be adding some news, in-depth stories on there as well. So that show is always linked below. All right, friends, I will see you tomorrow. Nope, I will see you next week. Bye.